Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing this morning? Woo! Hey, how about that rain? Oh my gosh, what a relief. It's been a beautiful Midwest summer, but I'm glad we got that rain. That sort of brightened things up today. My name is Julie Samuel Lambert, and I'll be your MC today. I'm so pleased to welcome you here in our community center, also those joining us on Facebook Live, and then maybe sometime in the future, you'll watch this back on YouTube, so hello to you as well. Since 2014, we have been gathering together as an alternative to building community for people regardless of belief or non-belief, race, gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, or any other trait. And we feel that the human experience is better when it's shared, and we're so pleased that you've made the decision to share your time with us this morning. We gather around our 5 core values, which you see over here, but I'll let you read them along with me. People are more important than beliefs. Reality is known through reason. Human hands solve human problems. Meaning comes from making a difference, and be accepting and be accepted. We have a lot to look forward to on today's program. Our featured speaker is Steve Werner, Ph.D., on how we got our calendar. Our musical guests are Bindel and Linus Bokay. And then we have a community moment with Leechia Jones. So we are not going to put any announcements up front, but we're going to welcome up Liam and Linus to the stage. And I'll tell you a little bit about them. They are freshman members of the Golden Regiment Marching Band. Both have been playing together while heavily involved in concert band and jazz band throughout middle school, and both made the Kansas City Metro All-District Jazz Band in 2025, which I got to go see down on 18th and Vine. And they are performing to raise funds for upcoming uniform and trip expenses for competitions and exhibitions, including the 2027 Tournament of Roses Parade in Pasadena and events in Indianapolis and St. Louis. So tips greatly appreciated to support those efforts. So please give another warm welcome to Liam and Linus.
Hello, guys. So, basically, we have 4 pieces for you today. Blue Bossa by Kenny Dorham. Libertango by Astor Piazzali. I think that's his name. Bad Piggies and Oye Como Va. Arranged by Paul Martha. So, both of us started playing instruments in the 6th grade. I started playing the trombone out of encouragement from my father, since he played it as well. And Linus, and
I just like the saxophone.
He just likes the saxophone. But over time, I've grown to like this piece of brass because I think I'm just really good at it. And so is Linus. He's a fine musician as well. So without further ado, I give you our wonderful pieces of music today.
All right. Thank you. That was great. That was great. So we're excited to welcome you back later in our program. So you're going to have a seat, but I'll probably have a question or two for you. I'm kind of nosy and like to know what you like about music. So if you go ahead and have a seat, and we'll have you back up in a little bit. Thank you so much, guys. All right. Okay, so first we'll get into some celebrations. We have some birthdays this week. For August 17th, Lindsay Madge and Kim Hodge. On August 18th, Fane. August 19th, Aiden Reedy, Melissa Latham, Todd Butler, and on the 22nd, Angela McClure. So let's give, I don't know if anybody, oh, I see Aiden. So let's give him a little birthday love. And yeah, maybe reach out to some of these folks during the week this week. Does anyone else have a birthday or celebration that they'd like to share this week? Anything exciting going on? Okay, going once. All right, moving on. So if you do have something to celebrate, you can let us know. Or even if there's something happening in challenging times, that's another way we can support you here in our community. So with that, we'll move into our volunteer of the month. So this month's volunteer of the month is Bradley Carpenter, who has been a great addition to Kansas City Oasis. He helps keep our community center clean after our gatherings. He's one of our friendly ambassadors for people new to Oasis and often lends a hand where it's needed. So a big thank you to Brad for being part of our community. All right. All right, now we're gonna see what's upcoming and some things maybe we can put our human hands to do. First of all, Camp Quest is seeking donations of stuffed animals for an activity called Mutant Animals. So you can see this little fella's got like a Chewbacca leg and some other stuff going on. An Annie necktie. I don't think I ever noticed that in that picture before, but okay. You can bring them in any Sunday. Some gently or not so gently loved, from what I understand. Stuffed animals and Camp Quest will give them a new life. And Julie Manning can answer any of your questions about that. So line dancing lessons, this has already begun, but it's never too late to join one of our dance classes. So if you're ready to dance to the songs you love to hear on the radio, you can join the Swingsters the remainder of August for line dancing lessons and learn fun, easy to follow dances set to today's hits and throwback favorites. So every Tuesday in August, 5:30 to 7:30, it's $15 for class and no partner needed. Okay, and then this is a great announcement. If you're not aware of our fall community groups, this is an opportunity for people in our community to meet up in smaller groups and get to know each other a little bit better. And the signups are now open to join a group this fall. So you can use this QR code to join a community group. It'll also be on the slides in the lobby, and someone can help you if you have challenges getting signed up. Meetings will begin the week of September 13th. There are 4 groups total, 2 in Missouri and 2 in Kansas. All right. Oh, and you can become slightly better looking. That wasn't in the text, but I see that there in the bottom corner. So who wouldn't want that? Okay. All right. Well, I don't know what we're doing at community groups this time around that will lead to that, but anything could happen. Okay. For one of our next social events on this coming Monday, there'll be dinner and followed by arcade games down in Lee Summit, meeting up at Llewellyn's Pub at 6 o'clock, followed by Arcade Alley just down the street for the arcade games. Arcade Alley is 21 and up after 7 p.m. So, and does have all those throwback games that those of us over 21 will still recognize. If you don't want to play arcade games and you want to play other kinds of games, on Thursday next week will be game night from 7 to 9. You can bring a favorite, or there'll be plenty here for you to participate in. Coming up at the end of the month is our next service Sunday. So we'll be hosting a blood drive. And just as a reminder, on those service Sundays, we do not have our regularly scheduled program. And actually that means that 2 weeks in a row, we will not have educational program here at the community center. We have a blood drive 1 week. The next week is Labor Day picnic. So August 30th and the following Sunday in September, we will not be meeting here, but we are encouraging everyone to come support the blood drive. And that QR code will help you reserve your spot for that. Next up is another volunteer activity. We're looking for a volunteer to coordinate pardon me, and print flyers, schedules, signs, handouts, and other event materials for Oasis-sponsored events. This behind-the-scenes role helps ensure everything is ready, accurate, and available when needed. The position is flexible and a great fit for someone who is organized, dependable, and enjoys supporting the success of our events. So if interested, you can contact any of us in leadership with these sorts of name tags, and we can help you get connected if you'd like to serve in this important support role. All right, now into September. On Saturday, September 12th from 6:30 to 9:30, there will be a family-friendly evening of karaoke, and everyone is invited. There is no admission, but there will be some optional concessions available. All right. Now we're going way out. So in July of 2027, for the first time since the pandemic, there's an opportunity to go on an Oasis cruise where all the Oasis locations are invited. The cruise will stop at Costa Maya and Cozumel. And reservations, however, to get these rates are needed by September 30th. And you can see the QR code will give you the ship and itinerary, and then that is the name there on the right of the person that can help you reserve your cabin. So a slide is in the lobby, but I think we also have some printouts that you can take a look at for more details, because that's a lot to absorb in a slide. Okay. Oh, October. Now we're getting to October. If you want to get away closer to home, we're going to have another camp out at Watkins Mill State Park. Who all attended that in the spring? Yeah, that was a good time. Such a beautiful place, not too far from home. So again, the first weekend in October will be a camp out at Watkins Mills State Park. And the first campsite already booked by the Mindens is campsite 42. So maybe try to get something near to that. That was a lot. That was a lot, even for me. Okay. You can follow us on all the socials and see all of these events upcoming. And also later we'll talk about how you can get connected through our newsletter and the website. But for now, here are the socials where you can follow us. And with that, we will wrap up my long-winded portion of the program and move on to our community moment. It's an opportunity for a member of our community to present on a topic of their choice. And today, we will hear from Leechia Jones. If she had 3 words to describe herself, it would be loving, sensitive, and creative. And if she had a warning label, it would be, might get cut by that loving, sharp wit. Let's give a warm welcome to Leechia Jones.
You are so cute. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, and I hope I receive that after I'm through. Good morning. It's always wonderful to talk to you guys and to see all of you. I look forward to coming here. And Jason informed me I only have 13 minutes, and he said, I'm going to keep you to that. So I had to condense a lot of what I wanted to say, and it's just going to be really short. In the 1996, I was a torchbearer for the Olympics. Goodbye. Thanks, Jason. Anyway, there was a lot of history to this. How many of you were alive in 1996? How many of you still are?
Yeah!
Okay. In 1996, Athens wanted to have the Summer Olympics because that would have been their celebration for their 100th year celebration, which would have been 1896. But for some reason, the United States received it, and so we were excited about that. There was a lot of preparation that went into it, and the tradition in Greece was an old tradition because I thought they kept the light in a tunnel somewhere, but they lit it every 4 years in a temple in Greece. And so after that, the light was transported into a lantern, which was put on a plane and was flown to the United States. And the torch run started in Los Angeles. That was 16,000 miles across the United States, and it landed in Atlanta, Georgia, where the event would take place. Muhammad Ali lit the cauldron there that began the games in Atlanta in July, I believe. Okay, so where it starts, there were a lot of modes of travel for the torch to go through in the United States from Los Angeles, and where I start is in St. Joseph, Missouri. How many of you have heard of St. Joseph, Missouri? How many of you lied? All right. St. Joseph was, we are remembered for the Pony Express. And there were modes of transportation that transported the torch across the United States by bicycle. I don't know how they did it by bicycle, but train, and they said it even went to the astronauts. I don't know how they did it, but they made it back, so that was important. Now, the Pony Express Association, and it is one, it took them 56 hours of riding to bring the torch to St. Joseph. And I thought that was incredible, nonstop. And it's too bad we don't have them now because I think we would get our mail sooner. Anyway, where I fit into this, I was an educator for Family Guidance Center. And so my responsibility was to do training for corporations and groups that would call. And so I had provided a lot of training to Holiday Inn, and at that time was friends with the CEO and his wife and the staff. And Don called me and he said, Leechia, we had a meeting the other day and it was unanimous. We want you to be the torchbearer, represent Holiday Inn and be our torchbearer. And I thought, Don, I can't do that. I'm 49 years old. I smoke. I've been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I'm not in good shape. You know, you have other people there. They're cute and they're in great shape and they'll just look good. And he said, Leechia, we had a meeting the other day and it was unanimous. We want you to represent Holiday Inn, and all I need you to do is say yes. So I said, okay, yes. And I thanked him. He said, now, I've already talked to your CEO. He thinks it's great. And what's going to happen is you will receive some calls from the Olympic Committee because there are a lot of meetings that you're going to need to attend. I said, okay. Hung up the phone, sat there, tried to inhale for a bit to catch my breath because I just realized, what did you sign on for? Because you're really not built for all of this. So I called my daughters on the phone and told them, and they were both excited. My oldest daughter, who is a crier, began to cry, and I said, don't cry. I said, I'm not dead yet. So then we went on. Then I called my mom and told her, and she was excited. And she said, oh, my God, I'm going to buy you some tennis shoes. I don't wear tennis shoes, but she bought me some tennis shoes. She hadn't bought me any tennis shoes since I was 2, and that was a pair of kids. So anyway, she bought me these Reeboks, and I still have them. They're 30 years old, and they look really good. So I kept sitting there thinking, oh, Leechia, what have you agreed to do? Anyway, received a call from the Olympic Committee, and they told me when the first meeting was going to be. And it said, it's just going to be kind of a meet and greet, and you'll be introduced to the other 30 torchbearers for this run. And I thought, great. So there were some people I knew there, and there were some folks I didn't. One guy was Jimmy Albright, who is a minister of the largest church in St. Joseph, Wyatt Park Baptist. And Jimmy was a marathon runner, and he was that big and trim and fit and everything. I thought, well, he was perfect to do this. The other young man that was there was Wes Barnett, and he had participated in the Winter Olympics in weightlifting and had won some medals, and so he was there too. And then there was this group of cutesy little girls that were there with all the hair and eyelashes and all this stuff. And I thought, oh, that's cute. So then I looked at some other friends that were my age and older, and they were all in better shape than I was in. So I went home that night and thought about it and just proceeded to smoke a carton of cigarettes because I thought, I'm getting ready for this. I am ready. The next couple of days, there were more meetings. And so they called and said, okay, we need your clothing size. And I thought, why do they want our clothing size? Why can't we just wear whatever? Well, no, you had to wear the same thing. And I thought, well, maybe it'd be some little cute short pants or something like that. And it ended up being shorts, and I'll show it to you later, and a top. And it was really cute. The only thing that bothered me about the shorts, I had underwear that was longer than the shorts were. And I thought, well, you can't do anything about that either. So I kept thinking about, Leechia, you're going to have to do this because there's no way to get out of it. And I usually work 9 hours and would go in early at 7:30 in the morning, get off maybe 6, whatever, if I had something to do that evening. And I decided the day before, which was a Thursday, I would go out to my location and I would just do it in my heels. And I never wore those stilettos. No, I tried that once, not a good thing. But my heels were usually stacked heels, and I had my clothes on. Parked the car, got out of the car. I didn't have the torch with me, but I got on the sidewalk and I was walking like this, waving and smiling. This is a kicker. I was in a totally white neighborhood. So imagine me walking up the street, people are getting off work, and I'm waving and smiling. And I had these negative thoughts in my head. You know how you always have these negative statements? And the negative statement said, yeah, Leechia, keep doing that. And one of these people are going to go home, call the police, and keep that smile because that's the one you're going to have when they do your mug shot. nobody showed up, and I made it up the hill. And this was one of those hills where it goes up, and then there's a plateau, and then it goes up a little bit further, and then there's a shorter hill, and then I was home free. So I made it. And I said to myself, the positive side said, Leechia, if you can do it today after you've worked 9 hours and you have on regular clothes and shoes, then you can do it tomorrow. Turned around, started back down the hill, and the negative voice said, yeah, let's see if you make it down the hill, okay? All right. And I did. Went home, got ready. Tomorrow's a big day. And, oh, here's the thing. And you said, I just hit it? Oh, isn't that nice? Jason, you do good work. There I am. That is my best side. I don't know who took that picture, but I was in the hallway at work, and I'm standing there contemplating life. I thought, well, maybe you could just pass out, and they would think, oh, bless her heart, something happened, and somebody could fill in for me. The negative thoughts again. The positive thought said, Leechia, don't listen. You did it yesterday. You can do it today. And it said, you need to be thinking about something more important than that. Don't you need to go to the bathroom now? You won't be able to go then. And I thought, all right, so, hey, here we go. And those are my Reeboks. Oh, my God, they still look so good. That's the last time you'll see me. So put this in your mind forever because it's gone. Here we go. Now, had to meet, and they dropped us off at our location. And a lot of fanfare, all this stuff. While I was waiting for the pass off, what happened was they took my torch and filled it with propane gas because propane gas builds stronger and there's a brighter light and it's more resilient than gas is. While I was there also, there were the nicest two young men that walked up to me and they said, Leechia, we are going to be your guides and we will be walking with you. So if you need any assistance or anything, we're there. We have water. If you feel like you're going to get weak and, need some assistance, we can help you with that too. You just let us know. And that really touched my heart. And I thought, oh my gosh, these nice young men. The negative voice said, Leechia, what's wrong with you? They're not here to protect your happy ass. They're there to protect that torch because they don't want anything going wrong with the flame. Even if you pass out and die, they'll put your body somewhere and they will carry on. Okay. Here we go. And there's a touch off. I don't know if you can see it with the pass off, but anyway, and they were right. Propane is really strong because all I had to do was just put my torch up next. Oh, and I have to tell you, this little cutesy girl comes running down with hers, and her eyelashes were longer than her shorts. But anyway, so our torches touch, and then there's the flame. I have it now, and it goes poof. And I was so thankful I didn't spray my hair because I would have gone too. Anyway, and here we go. We're going. Now, when I had first gotten off the bus after they dropped me, and they dropped me at the corner, and so I had walked where I had been practicing at the beginning of the hill, and a nice man said, no, Leechia, we're going to start at the intersection. And I said, but I practiced over there. Can I start from there? And they said, no, you have to start from here because that's how it works. And I thought, okay, so here we go. And we're going. And there's the entourage. Isn't that something? I mean, wow. And I don't know if you can see it over in the left-hand corner. There was a group of children there. And my cousin was an elementary school teacher, and the elementary school was several blocks away. But her class was there, and they were cheering and yelling. And when I put my foot on the hill at the bottom, they started saying, "Go, Mrs. Jones, go, Mrs. Jones." And that filled my heart. And I thought, you can't fall down in front of these kids. You're gonna have to make sure you get to stepping and do the right thing. And they did that continually, and you see the guys there that were so nice. Okay, and there I am again, and I practiced the wave. And I have it down to a science. Now, made it up the first plateau and then the second one, and then, hey, I was home free. Okay, and there we are again. Okay, now, had to make it to the next intersection because that's where Peggy was standing, and she was waiting. And so, made it there and said, good luck. The first thing I noticed about Peggy, she was standing there smoking a cigarette. I thought, what's wrong? What, what is that? I don't have one. What's wrong with you? Anyway, she put it out before the camera showed up. And so we touched, and she was off and gone. I said, good luck. And she said, thanks. Immediately, there was a gentleman there that took my torch and poured the propane out of it and handed the torch back to me. Oh, and here it is. I have. Yeah. And the sponsor, Holiday Inn, they purchased all of this stuff, the tacky little clothes and the torch. Okay. So I finished and I was happy. All right. These two young ladies are my children, my babies. And I don't know if you can see the sign, but they made a sign for me. How many of you remember Flojo? Remember Flojo? Beautiful black runner, track runner that won a lot of medals. Well, my sign says, way to go, Leechia. Okay, and so we were happy. And the one that was the choirs in the white shirt, she was surprised I was still walking around. All right. Listen, this was monumental for me. This is a moment that I'll never forget. I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, but I remember this because it was important. And my children were proud of me for the most part. Now, what I want to say to you is think of Muhammad Ali, who had Parkinson's, who was able to make it up the steps to light the cauldron for the Olympics to begin. And think of the 49-year-old woman that you know that was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and she smoked and hadn't exercised ever, and she made it also. All of you have challenges in your life. All of you have things, goals that you want to pursue. Don't let anybody talk to you. Don't you talk to you and talk yourself out of it. You can obtain the goals that you have that are important. All of us have hills to climb. I conquered mine. You can conquer yours. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, babe. Now I'm getting out of your way. Thanks.
Turn the light on. Okay, well, there was that wit that we were promised. That was fantastic. Thank you so much, Leechia, for sharing that with us. That's okay. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so it's time for our coffee break. So during that, it might be a nice time to introduce yourself to someone you don't know. Take a look at Lisa's short shorts, one of those things, and we'll be back in about 20 minutes. I'll see you then. Okay. I don't see my musicians, so I am going to vamp for the next couple of minutes. I'm not going to do it. I will not be doing a dance. This will be some free-form poetry. No, just kidding. So one thing that I did see, or didn't see, I guess, on our announcements, but is on the website, is the fact that we will be having a rummage sale again this year. It'll be the weekend after Labor Day weekend. So I think that's the, I want to say 10th, 11th, and 12th of September. So if you have anything at your house that you have been just desperately wanting to clear out, if you can bring any donations for the rummage sale to the library, would be a good place to put them. Or if it's something larger, we can arrange to put them straight into the basement downstairs. But we're starting to collect now because that's just about a month away. I don't know how September is just a month away, but there we are. So just something to remember as you're looking in the nooks and crannies and closets of your house and see things that you no longer need. We would love to have those for the rummage sale. All right, with that, we'll welcome back up Liam and Linus for another song. All right. So I told you I'd ask you maybe a couple of questions. Can you tell me a little bit about what some of your favorite performances have been so far, and then maybe one that you're looking forward to? Oh, yeah. Favorite one so far?
So, my favorite performance that I have done would probably be the performance I had when I was in the Casey Metro All-District Middle School Jazz Band.
Yeah, that was a good one.
I think it contains some of the best songs I played in jazz, and I think it was a very good learning experience for me.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're playing with musicians you haven't played with before at
Yeah.
that, right?
I did not know a large portion
Yeah.
of who I was playing amongst.
Yeah.
And so it was a very good learning experience for me and everyone around me as we got to play together.
Yeah.
In only a week, too.
In only a week. Yeah, that's great. Okay. How about you, Linus?
My personal favorite performance had to have been my final jazz band performance of my 8th grade year.
Uh-huh.
Just seeing how far I came since my first performance or practices in 7th grade,
Yeah.
just starting out on the tenor,
Uh-huh.
and really just getting to know all the people in jazz band and seeing how far we've all come as a community, a group, and playing just some really fun songs.
Yep. And let's talk a little, Liam told us a little bit about how he got to the trombone. So did you start with a different instrument, it sounds like maybe?
Yeah, I started with sax or alto sax,
Okay.
and I was able to move up to tenor sax in 7th grade.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Okay, no further questions. No, I'm just kidding. All right, so with that, let's give another warm welcome to Liam and Linus. Okay. All right, fantastic. So when you come back for your last song, I'll probably ask you about what's coming next, okay? So thank you so much, and we will see you here one more time. So with that, we'll go into our speaker disclaimer. Our program is designed to generate conversation and engage our powers of reason, not as a forum to start debates. The following presentation has been prepared by our speaker and not by Kansas City Oasis. Please respect the views of our speaker. And if you have any questions, a Q&A portion will follow as time permits. It's my privilege to introduce Steve Werner. Steve moved to Kansas City 4 years ago to study at UMKC. He came from St. Louis, where he had taught college courses on religion, mythology, Christian history, and American culture. He is the composer of songs such as Irish Farewell and Where's My 15 Minutes, Andy Warhol. He wrote an opera based on the Epic of Gilgamesh. Wow. Grendel's mother? Any parts for me? Okay, no, it's fine. Okay, check out his YouTube page, The Cosmic Mundane. His books include the Handy History Answer Book, From the Stone Age to the Digital Age, How to Study Religion, A Guide for the Curious, and Life Sucks, an exploration of the pain and suffering in life. Please welcome Steve Werner, Ph.D.
Thanks. Understanding the calendar. Here we are, Sunday, August 16th, 2026, 12 p.m. Why? Why do we call this August and August 16th and Sunday? Why? Well, that's what we're going to explore. Calendars rule our lives, right? They totally rule our lives, yet they are totally amazing. So we could agree to meet 5 years from now in Paris, and we wouldn't have to talk at all or communicate, and we would both be there at the same time. In fact, I could tell you, you're 10 minutes late because of calendars. So what's a year? So we're talking the solar year. Of course, that means the sun. And that's how long our solar year is. All right, notice it's kind of a sloppy number. It's not very precise. And roughly it's what? Well, 365 and a quarter, roughly, right? If you round it up. So how do you know what a year is before you have printed calendars? Well, you watch the sunrise. So if you're looking east, and by great chance, this building is orientated, so that is actual east. So the sun rises in the east, well, sort of. So on March 20th of this year, if you look due east, you would see the sun. That's where it would rise. But then it would shift to the left and keep shifting until you got to June 21st. Then it would work its way back. And it'll be September 22nd when it's due east. Right now, it's somewhere over here. Then it keeps going until December 21st, and then back to March 20th of next year. So that's a year. Pick one starting point, let the sun move in each subsequent day, move back and forth back to your starting point. That's a year. So you could make a primitive calendar. X would be where you're going to stand, and then you put 3 poles up there to mark those spots. And the sun is that way when it's straight ahead, and when it's this way when it rises. And so this is a famous example of one of those calendars. Anybody know where this is? In St. Louis, right? Cahokia Mounds. And so the central pole, you stand by that, and you watch the sun rise. And you see on the left, it's hard to make out, one of the poles has a white stripe on it. Well, that's the one for the June 21st date. Stand there, look at that, that's where the sun will rise. And this is a drawing of Cahokia Mounds. Be sure you see it. This huge civilization that was there about 1,000 years ago. All right, now those spots have names. So the spring equinox and the fall equinox, when it's due east, the winter solstice and the summer solstice. All right, this is a famous calendar. What's this one? Stonehenge, right? And everybody's there for the summer solstice. This is in the southwest on that summer solstice, and only on that day, the sun comes through these cracks, this crack between these stones, and puts that light on that circle that was carved there to mark the spot. All right, so there's our year, and those equinoxes and solstices can be on those dates. Now, solstice, that comes from what word? Solar, sun, solstice. And what do you know about the summer solstice? Longest day of the year. The winter solstice. And so in between are the equinoxes, and what does that word mean? Equal night. Nox for night. Equal night and day. All right, I just showed you these dates for this year. And also, these are the official beginnings of seasons. It's the solstice and equinox points. That's the official beginning of seasons. But it doesn't match up with the weather or the school schedule, right? That's why it's always seemed odd. Well, summer solstice, well, heck, the schools have been closed for weeks. The pools have been open. It's been hot. But it's the official beginning based on the equinoxes and solstices. So what's a month? Well, the word month comes from moon, right? It follows the phases of the moon. So this is what you see in the sky, the different phases of the moon, from the crescent moon over there to a half moon, 3/4 to a full moon, and then it gets smaller, right? These are the phases, and you watch a whole sequence of that, and that's your month. Now, if you look in the sky, how do you know if the moon is coming or going? If it's getting bigger or smaller? And the simple thing to remember is, what's it?
My grandma used to say to me, shaped like a D or shaped like B if you put a leg on it. Like if it's D, then never mind.
Okay.
You go.
All right.
I'll tell you what my grandma
Well, the moon reads Hebrew. That's how you remember. The moon reads Hebrew. So English, you read from left to right. Hebrew, you read from right to left. So when you see it, just know the moon, the line is moving to the left. That's an easy way to remember that. And this happens because, and this is totally out of scale, but here's the Earth with the moon around it, and the sun's over there. And depending where this moon is, the moon's going to block some of the light. So if the moon's here and the sun's there, you're only going to see this half of it, right? And then these are the names of them. Sorry, the print's so small. The new moon, which is confusing. It's no moon. You don't see it up there. It's up there, but there's no sunlight hitting it, so you can't make it out, except you look where there's no stars. Okay, there it is. So that's the new moon, or the dark side of the moon. That's my Pink Floyd reference. Then a waxing means to grow, waxing crescent. A first quarter moon. Then a waxing gibbous. Then a full moon. Then a waning gibbous. Third quarter moon, waning crescent. And then you're back to your new moon, or no moon. But it's kind of confusing because that one at the top, it's quarter, but wait a minute, that's half a moon, right? So half a moon is what you see. First quarter refers to the first quarter of the cycle. It's one of these little details. It's a little confusing. And here's another drawing to get the idea. If the sunlight's coming over here, and depending on the position of the moon, it determines how much of the moon you're going to see. All right, so what's a month? Well, here's the number. 29 days, 12 and a half hours, 44.05 minutes. see another number that's really not precise at all, and that'll cause problems. So for your calendar, do you follow the sun or the moon? And of course, we follow the sun and ignore the moon. But other cultures follow the moon and ignore the sun. So let's do a lunar calendar. How long would that be? Well, so it's 29 and a half days. So you alternate months of 30, 29, 30, 29. Right? That's how you do it. Now, how many days would that be in a year? So it's easy. So what you can do is take 6 months of 30 days. 6 times 30 would be 180. And now take 6 days of 6 months of 29 days. 174, right? So add them together and you get 354. So do you see how that's significantly shorter than the lunar year? I'm sorry, the solar year, right? They're different. They don't match up. And in our solar year, months stay put. August is in the summer when it's hot in our latitude, right? And December's in the winter. But in a lunar calendar, the months move. So that moving months can make things complicated. And lots of people still use the lunar calendar for religious stuff, but then make their appointments based on the solar calendar. So Ramadan is the month of fasting in Islam, but that month moves around. It shifts 11 days earlier each year. So in where we live, summer's Ramadan's going to be a lot longer day than in winter. Then on those full moons, there's 3 that are kind of special. The blue moon, because to some people it looks kind of blue. The blue moon, the harvest moon, and before electricity and gas lamps and stuff, it would allow farmers more daylight in order to harvest. So sometimes that would be helpful. And then finally, the hunter's moon, you could go out hunting. And what do you hunt at night? Cats? One more. Raccoons. Raccoon is the big one that you might hunt. And these terms have inspired like a song, Blue Moon, right? And a movie recently on it. And then Harvest Moon, there's a song. Shine on, harvest moon, up in the sky. I ain't had no lovin' since January, February, June, or July. Snow time ain't no time to stay outside and spoon. So shine on, harvest moon, for me and my gal. Snow time ain't no time to stay outside. And spoon means to make out. I think it's got a different meaning these days. So what's a week? Well, you take that lunar month and you divide it, and 7's the least bad number to divide it. So 7 weeks, and the Babylonians started this, and then the Hebrew week followed that. And then the Romans picked it up, the 7-day week, and they named these after the 7 planets. Oh, this should be simple, right? So here's our list of planets. And Pluto, poor Pluto. At any rate, how many planets we got up there? 8 or 9, right? Well, that's not going to work. The Romans couldn't see the bottom 3. You need a telescope. And they didn't think Earth was a planet. We do, they didn't. So now we got these, but what's our count? 5. Oh, darn. So we got to pick up a couple. Guess what they called planets? The sun and the moon. Sun and the moon. So, and my Latin's not good, but the day of the sun, solus, and then lunar for the moon. And they thought, people used to think the moon might make you crazy, hence the word loony. And then the planets are the gods: Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. All right? And, this is the week we're using, right? So here are the French and Spanish names. And ignore Sunday and Saturday and look at Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus. You see how those names carry over for those god names become the day names. Domingo, dimanche, domingo, what's that? Well, domingo means to dominate or to lord over, so it's the Lord's Day. That's a Christian label. The Lord's Day, or as we say in St. Louis, the Large Day. And then Spanish sábado, that's Sabbath. That comes from the Jewish tradition. And Samedi's a version of that. But that's how we get our week names. Oh, and then in English, we're over here. So it's the Sunday, the moon day, and then these gods, those are German gods or Norse gods. To Woden, Thor, Freya, Saturn. I'm sorry. Just the four are Norse or German gods. And so Woden for Wednesday, we say Wednesday as if it's spelled W-E-N-D, but no, it's W-E-D-N-E-S, Woden's Day. So people use these god names all the time, and, like good Christians, let's have a prayer meeting on Thursday. But, all right, so then you take your day and you divide it in 12 hours. Do the same for the night. Why 12? Well, the other alternative is 10. Why do we count based on 10? Right? It's 10 fingers, right? But the problem with 10 is if you can only divide it by, 5 or 2, right? Whereas 12, you can divide it by 2, 3, 4, 6. It's very divisible. And then for the minutes, you take your 12 times 5, and you got this highly divisible number of 60. 2, 3, 4, 6, 10, 12, 20, 30. And that's very handy that it's that divisible. And then why do we need all this precision? In the past, you didn't need this much precision on time. Even though they had hours, minutes, and seconds, you didn't use it that much. And, it used to be the only way to measure an hour was to have an hourglass. And you had to be diligent to turn it over at the right time to have any sort of halfway accurate time. But clocks were invented and developed, so now you could track time more accurately, precisely, and then trains were moving from one place to the next rather quickly. Before that, to get to the next town might be 4 hours on a horse. So what if the clocks didn't match where you came from? So what? But with trains, it mattered, and then you had the telegraph so you could communicate what the different times were, and then from that they developed time zones because these trains were going so far, so fast. All right. So we think of our calendar as the Gregorian calendar. It's actually really the earlier calendar of Julius Caesar, the Julian calendar. Most of it was the Julian calendar. They took ideas from this guy, Sosigenes, and they set up our basic 12-month calendar. But the year we call 46 BC, they had to line things up, and so that year was 445 days long. But this is our calendar, right? 365 days. Every 4 years, you add a leap day to February. It's basically our calendar. There's our solar year. And again, the counter stays put for solstices and equinoxes. Very accurate, only off by 11 minutes. Remember that 11 minutes? It's only off by that. There he is, the Julian calendar. I don't know if he made the French fries too or not. I don't know. So they took their 12 months and gave them these names. As you know, these are the names of our months, right? In English, right? So Janus is the god of beginnings and endings. It's also the name of a mutual fund. Februa was a ritual of purification. Well, that's the god Mars, right? Aprilis was the opening of the buds, like flower buds, not beer bottles. That joke works much better in St. Louis. The goddess Maya, the goddess Juno, the goddess of marriage, and then they had numbered months: quintilis, sextilis. That means 6. No, it's not a month for fornication. Then Septemberus, Octoberus, November, Decemberus. That's how we got our month names, except that they named the one for Julius and Augustus. All right? That'll make perfect sense. Where we got our month names, it all makes sense, right? You got it, right? Okay. But something doesn't make sense. What is it? What? Well, we'll get to that in a second. But the names. Because what? Right, so October means 8, right? But in this, but it's in the 10th position, right? All these years, and that didn't strike you, right? Well, how did this happen? Originally, the year started on March, and so the month names made perfect sense, but they stuck these two in before it. All right, so they assigned these numbers: big, small, big, small, big, small. That was perfect, seemed to work fine, but they named a month for Julius, and Augustus came along and said, I want an extra day. So I don't know if you can imagine a political leader who's very vain. So, and before it was easy to remember, now it's not so easy to remember, and you have to remember this poem. So that's the calendar of Julius. Very accurate, except for those 11 minutes. And then we get to this guy, Dionysius Exiguus. Anybody ever heard of him? Well, you should. He set up our system of year numbers. And it's his numbers that are going to go on your tombstone. So he was interested in the calendar because of this issue of Easter. Christians believe that Jesus was killed. He was killed on a cross. And at one point, this building would have had a cross in front. But then he rose from the dead several days later. And Christians call that Easter. And so he was killed after the Jewish Passover meal. In the story, Jesus has his Last Supper the day before he's killed, and that's the Jewish Passover. The Jewish Passover is the first full moon of spring, first full moon after the equinox. So when to celebrate Easter every year. And so the formula now is the first Sunday after the first full moon after the spring equinox. All right. Which means most years you have your spring equinox, your first moon, and most years that's the Jewish Passover, and then Christian Easter is the Sunday after that. So how to number the years? Well, Dionysius said, let's go back to Jesus, and so here's the founding of Rome. That's the number we give it. At the time, it was year 1. But he said, let's give the birth of Jesus as year 1. We'll set that as year 1. There's no 0 year. There's no 0 year, which means the first century is the year 1 to 100. The second century is 101 to 200. And remember, in the year 2000, when does the millennium begin? We wanted to celebrate on the 2000, but officially it's 2001. If you were smart, you had 2 parties. So it affects that. Also on the centuries, it's sort of goofy. The second century is 101 to 200. It's the 100s. The third century is the 200s. Because you have that first century, right? You got to count. The 1900s was the 20th century. Always confused me. So what did Gregory do? Well, that 11 minutes, by the time of Gregory, it threw the counter way off. It didn't match where Easter should be. So they took the Julian calendar and fixed those 11 minutes. So if you take 24 hours times 60 minutes, you get 1,440 minutes in a day. All right? Now, if you divide that by 11, you get 131. So what this means is every 131 years, the counter's off by a day. Right? Which, most of us don't live that long, so it doesn't matter. Now, but you got to take out some days. Now, if you take 131 times 3, roughly, what do you get? What? Yeah, but what is it?
393.
But round it up, you get 400, right? So, okay, we just got to take out 3 leap years every 400 years. And that's the change they made to the calendar. We take out 3 leap years every 400 years. So they had to reset the calendar again. And you can imagine the arguments. What do you mean it's due next week? What do you mean I got to pay a full month's rent? But they reset the calendar, and then to fix the extra leap days on century years. They take out 3 out of 4 leap days on century years. So 2000 was a leap year. 2100, if you're around then, won't be a leap year. There won't be a leap day in it. 2200 won't be a leap day. 2300, no leap day. 2400, there'll be a leap day. All right? That's the tiny fix. That's the Gregorian calendar. And Europe under the Pope, all those countries, agreed to it. The English took them longer, as did the Russians. All right. So there's the basics of the calendar, and I'm out of time.
Gary. Gary has a question right off the bat.
So has anyone ever wanted to make the winter solstice align with the first day of the year, which you could accomplish by just having leap year, celebrating February 29th for 10 years? Straight.
I guess you could do that. But getting people to agree on any sort of changes would be difficult.
It would make sense that the first day of the year is the beginning of as the days get longer.
Well, except one of the problems is that winter equinoxes can be on 3 different days. So, but.
That's a technical.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where does April Fool's Day come from?
I'm sorry, I used to know that, but I think that's correct. I'm sorry. I used to.
Something to do with banking dates in England or something like that?
Okay. All right.
Right.
Something to Google. Where'd April
All right.
1st, April Fool's Day come from? I have a question. Here's a question. How many people do you think actually know about the whole no leap day in century? I am today years old when I learned that.
I think very few people.
Never heard it
Very
before.
few people.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go with the next question since I don't see any more hands. Is there still calendar, like the study of calendars and time? Is that still sort of a discipline, or, what is sort of
Mostly
is it
it's
history,
it's
or is
set.
it?
Mostly it's
Yeah.
set. At some point, it'll have to be reset slightly again.
Uh-huh.
But it's mostly set and agreed to, and trying to get an agreement to do it differently would you have a lot of opposition.
Yeah, you can't get people to agree on much. Okay.
All right.
Any other questions? Over here behind me, of course. Okay.
First of all, thank you. This is fascinating, but very confusing. Do people have to reset their sundials at some point? I've seen sundials in backyards, but they can't always be accurate then, correct? Do you?
You don't reset your sundial, but you have to know.
I mean, and like that post in St. Louis, what happens during a leap year? I mean, to account for a leap year.
Oh, we don't know what they did with leap years. And my guess is on their calendar, they just sort of reset it based on the solstice. They just,
Reset the sundial?
no, reset their way of counting days. They just started from scratch. Here's the solstice. All right, now we'll count again.
Oh boy.
Now,
I'm
but like
still
the
confused.
it's totally confusing. But the Mayans and Aztecs had these incredible calendars that they'd calculated thousands of years into the future and in the past, and they had very accurate measurements of this stuff.
So is there, as far as different civilizations choosing solar versus lunar, is there some pattern to, why civilizations might have chosen one over another?
There's not a simple answer to that.
Okay.
And there are other calendars, a Chinese calendar, a Hindu
Uh-huh.
calendar, lots of native calendars.
Uh-huh.
And they just evolved over time.
Yeah.
And in the past, having a precise calendar wasn't that big of a deal. It's kind of when the crops are ready for harvest and
Yeah.
when it's time to go hunting for these animals.
Like wake up when it's sunny and go to
Yeah.
bed when it's dark. And yeah. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? All right.
thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thanks.
much. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Questions? All right. Oh dear, I do not have the basket. So there are some Sunday volunteer tasks that need to be completed. As you know, we are completely volunteer staffed and donation funded, and so it really takes all of our hands to keep our community center looking great. So when the cards come out, if you can please pass those around and grab something simple that can be completed today. After the program today, this is somewhere new, it feels like, no? All right, never mind, just me. New to me. I woke up this morning, brand new day. Conroy's Public House, 4730 Rainbow Boulevard, so just down the street. Next week, our featured speaker will be Bill Pierce on KKFI, Kansas City Community Radio. Our musical guest will be Laura Boat and the Brew, and the community moment will be from Jim Fisk. And like I mentioned, as our musicians are coming up to the stage, just another reminder that we are run by donations. This is one of the ways that you can contribute. Go to kcoasis.org/donate or scan this QR code. And we accept Venmo. We do have Zephy as a recurring monthly donation platform. Okay, so one more song. All right, let's talk a little bit about what you are looking. So you're going to be freshmen, or are freshmen? We're freshmen. Going to be freshmen. Going to be freshmen. Exciting. So what are you most looking forward to? Has school started already for you?
No.
Not yet. Okay. So what are you most looking forward to this year?
What I'm looking forward to this year in not just Golden Regiment, but the band program in general is getting to climb the difficulty level in songs and play more difficult pieces so I can get better at what I'm doing right now.
Nice.
And we get to travel all around the country and sometimes international at the Golden Regiment Marching Band.
Nice.
Now, we're not doing that this year,
Not this
but
year.
I
Okay.
hope that we can do it in later years.
Great. So you got to set the groundwork to be able to do that. That sounds like good. That sounds like some good hard work to do. What about you, Linus?
I am mainly most excited for well, with band, I'm excited to, like be in marching band
Yeah.
and high school band and just have that strong community
Yeah.
and just a bunch of people, a lot of them better than me.
Okay.
So like I have
Well, you can
people to
always
look
learn.
up to and all that.
Yeah, that's great. So will this be your first year marching, both of you?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Ooh, that's a whole different world than seated jazz band, right? Oh my gosh, or concert band. That's very exciting. So, invest in good shoes is what I would say. I would say that to everyone, really. But okay, so with that, let's go ahead and hear your last selection. Give another warm welcome to Liam and Linus. Okay. All right. Fantastic. Just real quick, do you guys have a favorite person that a well-known or favorite person that plays your instrument? I know you were excited to meet somebody. I mean, just because I was there, that there was a high school player that you enjoyed listening to from, I think, the district band.
No, a favorite person who plays trombone actively, I do not have.
Okay.
However, my father played
Oh, right on.
trombone,
Yeah.
and he was also in the Golden Regiment marching band. It
Ah,
was my
okay.
inspiration in order to
Yeah.
do what I do.
That's great. That's great. Thank you for sharing that with us. And Linus, do you have a favorite saxophonist?
Well, I have a favorite saxophonist who used to be a senior
Okay.
in Blue Springs High School
Nice.
and Golden Regiment and all that.
Yeah.
His name was Duncan. He
Uh-huh.
was, pretty good.
Great.
Top of his class. And
Nice.
like, I guess famous celebrity person that I really like that plays my instrument would be John Coltrane.
John Coltrane, excellent choice, excellent choice. So, fortunate to live in a rich jazz town. So hopefully you guys get out and hear some professional musicians. And we appreciate. And you are not professional musicians because you made money doing this. So that's all it takes. So that's pretty exciting. Your first paying gig right here at Oasis. So we're so happy to have you. All right, thank you, fellas. Okay, so with that, it just leaves it up to me to, we'll just encourage you to grab a task from, or to go around already. Anyway, grab a task, but also just look around the seats in front of you. And with that, I'd like to thank this week's presenters, Steve, Leechia, oh my gosh. My throat just dried out. Steve, Leechia, and our musicians, Liam and Linus. And thank you so much for being here and for tuning in online. And we'll see you next week.